Alright guys, the time is now for a showdown between the Skaven, who are going to be led by Lord Skrolk, and the Lizard people, who are going to be led by Krokar atop his mighty T-Rex. So without further ado, let's jump right into this match and have some fun. So here in the front line, we do have three groups of the Stormvermin with the swords and shields. And I definitely think they're one of the better picks against the Dinos. Saurus Warriors, Skink Cohorts, pretty much anything with the exception of the Temple Guard are really going to have a lot of trouble with armor. Saurus Warriors, for example, do hit very, very hard. They have 52 weapon strength, but I think a very low proportion of that is going to be armor piercing. So you can see, 18 AP isn't bad, but on top of that, Saurus Warriors don't have the best combat stats, 29 and 35. It's going to be up against 36 and 44. So Stormvermin have a higher model count at 120. They have better armor. They have better combat stats. The only thing they're really lacking in is overall weapon strength, but they definitely do very well against the Saurus Warriors one-on-one. Saurus do, of course, have better leadership, but rats hold their own. So 3 Stormvermin in the front line. We're going to be mixing in 2 Assassins. Now, the Assassins, we're going to be using the trophy heads on the big dinosaurs like Krokar, because a big part of this matchup, yes, you can win the infantry fight, but if you don't do well in the Kaiju/monster fight, you're ultimately going to have a very bad time. So we do have the trophy heads as well as the rival hide talisman on both of our rats. So if you take an initial engagement, you charge in. It's really powerful to pop the rival hide talisman and hit like 2 groups of Saurus Warriors. It's just going to heavily neuter their combat stats. I think it puts their melee attack to like 0, actually. Let's go ahead and look. Yeah, so it's going to put them at 0, and it's really going to give your Stormvermin a huge advantage for a long period of time. So we do have 2 of those, 1 assassin here and 1 here. Double HELLPIT Abomination, so we're going full Kaiju mode. It's a very brutish Skaven build, right? We're going to try and win the front line, which does favor the Stormvermin, and on top of that, hopefully our big boys here. 1 HELLPIT Abomination. I guess we could give them names maybe next time. But 2 HELLPIT Abominations are going to be joined by Skrolk, and I feel like it's a pretty powerful kit because, yes, the duels are pretty hard for the HELLPIT Abominations. The Carnosaurs are very, very strong, but Skrolk with Libra Bubonicus, and then we also have the Trophy Heads and the Rival Hide Talismans. We have a lot of abilities that are going to bring the dinosaurs down to our filthy level, so we'll see how that goes. We do have 1 group of the Plague Monk Sensor Bearers here in the back, which are kind of a cool utility unit. Very squishy, so you don't want them in the front line in this matchup, in my opinion. Saurus Warriors will just beat the brakes off these guys. I think a single group of Plague Monk Sensor Bears will probably kill Saurus Warriors one-on-one, but they still take too much damage for my liking. So what I'd like to do is leave them in the back. So when a dinosaur overextends, you charge in the Plague Monk Sensor Bears on the dinosaurs, you get the Contaminate, the really good AP. It's definitely pretty powerful for breaking leadership. On the flanks, we have Clan Rats as well as Skaven Slaves, and the same thing on the other side just to deal with Skirmishers, and that is pretty much it. So definitely a pretty cool Skaven army here. And for my opponent, he has taken the high ground, so we're going to have to do some shifting for sure. He does have Saurus Warriors in the front line, pretty standard stuff. They do well against most Skaven troops, and even though Stormvermin probably will beat them 1-to-1, with a little support from like a Rev Crystal or some healing or some other magic, they can actually do really well. Like a couple Flock of Dooms from this Beastcaster could probably give the matchup to the Saurus Warriors. So he's got 4 of those in the front line. He has a Stegodon here. It looks like a Skink Priest on the Stegodon. I keep forgetting which one is like the ancient one and which one is the regular Stegodon. But this one is the Ballista, the short range one. It does a ton of damage. It's basically kind of like a machine gun on top of this. It does really good against like my type of troops here. So a little bit scary. The machine gun shots will do quite a bit of damage to my HELLPITs. He's got Krokar up on his T-Rex Grimlock here. Definitely good to go there. And he also has a Rev Crystal. So that's definitely a pretty solid army. On the low ground here, he does have Cold One Spear Riders. And it looks like there's going to be a Balls Deep Vanguard of Pterodon Riders. Now, Pterodon Riders with the Fire Leech Bolus can definitely do a ton of damage against Plague Monks and also do some withering damage against HELLPITs, who are weak to fire. I really like my opponent's army and positioning quite a bit here. So, whenever you see your opponent in a position like this, you don't have to accept that. There's many ways to kind of get around like entrenched high ground positions like this. So for example, you could just start rotating up here and move your entire army right here. It's going to force your opponent to shift. It's going to kind of stress them out a little bit. There's no point in charging like straight up the hill, right, against dinosaurs and Saurus. It's going to make it so much worse. So at the very least, if we move up this way, it's going to force him to move. Still your opponents can, of course, react pretty efficiently, or they could charge you. But if they charge now, you can fall back. You can kind of screw up their whole game plan. Definitely brings quite a bit to the table there. Now the Pterodon Riders are going to come and start dropping some hot fire on my dudes here. Not going to be fun for my Sensor Bears in the back. In the meantime, I do engage with some Clan Rats with shields on the Skinks on the far side, just trying to have a bit of a distraction. But unfortunately, my slaves are going to get charged by the Cold One Spear Riders, so they're going to get massacred pretty badly. But at the very least, they are holding up these Cold One Spear Riders, and now I know they're there. So I basically paid like 125 gold to get some free scouting, so that wasn't bad at all. And over here you can see the Clan Rats are it's kind of a weird buggy looking thing here. Anyways, the Pterodon Riders are dropping some fire on the Stormvermin, actually doing a ton of damage. I was really surprised by that, although I think one of the volleys did come from the Stegodon here, and that's why they took so much. But good stuff from my opponent here. So in the meantime, I am going to be shifting up the hill. You can see the Stormvermin, all my guys, and this is a much better engagement. Like, this is a straight up hill, right? And here my opponent has a little bit of a slope advantage, but I don't mind it as much. There's some terrain here, which is going to help against like the Fire Leech Bolus and things like that, so definitely quite happy about that situation. Regardless, he's still getting some pretty good pot shots. trying to drop some rocks. He does get a partial hit there, kills about 5 Storm Vermin. And also my Plague Monk Sensor Bears are taking some damage, which definitely sucks because they're a very expensive unit. I mean, my whole army is pretty elite for the most part. But over here you can see he does engage the skink cohorts with my Clan Rats, so it's going to be a bit of a wet noodle fight over here. Front line is going to be Storm Vermin versus Saurus and big angry T-Rex. Thinking about jumping in, but I think he saw my HELLPITs and was a little bit cautious there. So the Stegodon's going to get in there. Always pretty fun watching Stegodons run over rats. So it's going to be charging in, blasting its machine gun, but the HELLPIT Abomination is going to be rushing in to meet it. I don't know if they have any interlocked animations. I know that the HELLPIT Abomination plus Kroq-Gar do, but I'm not sure about these guys. Right now we do get the engagement. The HELLPIT Abomination gets a nice square hit. We do pop the Rival Hide Talisman, so this entire core of Saurus now has 0 melee attack, which is so good. On top of that, it's going to be hitting Kroq-Gar, who's in the Sphere of Influence. He's now down to 11. And a really good Flock of Doom for my opponent is going to hit that entire blob there. So good stuff. HELLPIT Abomination's doing a little bit of damage against the Skink Priest. The other one is going to be switching over to Kroq-Gar. I actually did use the Libra Bubonicus on him, but my opponent did respond with the Rev Crystal. It's a very good response, very, very quick there. It's going to mitigate a lot of the damage coming in. And I did have an opening in my formation. You can see the Skinks and Saurus are piling in, so I did summon some Clan Rats back here to kind of muck those guys up. So hopefully we'll be able to buy me some time. But in the front, the Saurus Warriors holding, not Saurus, the Storm Vermin holding their own, definitely beating back the Saurus Warriors. The sheer numbers, their armor, and their better combat stats is really serving them well. We have a really good 2v1 situation here. So we have an Assassin, 2 HELLPIT Abominations attacking the Skink Priest. And you can see Kroq-Gar gets a pretty good leaping attack. He actually jumps and gets 1 or 2 attack animations on the HELLPIT Abomination. But wherever he goes, I'm following him with Skrulk. And Skrulk is not a pushover of a duelist. He actually hits really, really hard. So we're able to chase Kroq-Gar. We get the Rod of Corruption. You can see trophy heads going down, just all kind of debuffs. Now Kroq-Gar has 0 melee attack and 0 melee defense. So that's one of the big powers of Skaven, is synergizing the assassins plus the trophy heads and all that kind of stuff. Something I feel like I've been lacking in quite a few of my replays. Anyways, Kroq-Gar is going to be making a run for it, using his cold blood to heal up. With 0 melee attack, you're pretty much going to be hitting him like almost every time, which is very, very powerful. Over here, the Skink Priest on the Stegodon is going to be kind of trying to get away from the HELLPITs, but they're hot in pursuit here, so I should be able to get some pretty good attacks. Then another Rival Hide Talisman, so I'm trying to layer that as much as I possibly can to make sure I'm not like wasting the pass here. But we get some pretty good damage on the Skink Priest, down to about half health. Bounce of power is still pretty even. The Saurus Warriors here were able to clean up shop. My Storm Vermin here are doing pretty well against Storm Vermin, especially against the Saurus, especially considering they are taking Overwatch fire from the Pterodon Riders. Here on the far side, Kroq-Gar has decided to retreat away from the main battle. He's going to be attacking some of my filthy rats here on the flanks. Probably just buying time for him to heal up with Rev Crystals and Cold Bloods and things like that. But regardless, we have another pit fight in here. You can see the HELLPIT Abominations have kind of piled into this particular engagement. They're trying to attack the Skink Priest, but it is a little bit saturated with Saurus Warriors as well as the Rev Crystal. So I will be putting 1 HELLPIT Abomination on both of these guys. So Blessed with Filth is going down. I mean, they already have. I'm pretty sure HELLPIT Abominations already have poison. I'll have to double check that. But anyway, Stand Your Ground also is going to be helping their melee defense. Stegodon is doing some okay damage, but it looks like it's going pretty well for me in this part of the battlefield. Bounce Fire is still even. Kroq-Gar does come back in. Now, this is a very dangerous gambit. Kroq-Gar probably should have ran like up and around and engaged with the Stegodon, but regardless, he does engage head on. He has some Saurus support on the ground, but he's going to be taking a lot of damage from these big dinos. Oh, and it looks like we're getting a... Oh, Kroq-Gar just got slapped by that filthy rat. That was like a straight up him slap, but then he like tail slaps that rat. This is so ridiculous looking. But Kroq-Gar is definitely in the wrong neighborhood right now. He is getting some supporting fire, but for the most part, oh, the HELLPIT Abomination custom animation. Look at this. Straight up WWE. That's so cool. And that was one of the best things about Total War Warhammer 2 when it first came out, was those synced animations. But Kroq-Gar just got slapped into oblivion by the HELLPIT Abomination. And then the other one actually takes him out. So Kroq-Gar does fall when he's trying to retreat from these abominable, just malicious beasts here. And he's got that like, oh, look at that big club hand. You really got to take some time to admire the HELLPIT Abominations. Those guys are pretty serious models for sure. The backpacks, they got all this neat stuff as well. But anyways, the battle is definitely looking a little bit better for me now that Kroq-Gar is gone. You can see he does have a couple dinosaurs and some Saurus left. And my Storm Vermin, for the most part, have been taken out. My opponent was very methodical, using the Pterodon Riders to harass them and evening out the battle. But yeah, pretty much all I have left are the 2 Assassins, the 2 HELLPIT Abominations. I think I have some Sensor Bears mixed in here, which is very nice for the Mass Contaminate. My opponent does get a really good Flock of Doom, but I don't think he has a stopping power to kill both my HELLPIT Abominations. This one is a little bit low, but it's nowhere near its healing cap, which means if this got really dragged into a long, atrocious game, I would be able to heal up very, very easily here. The other HELLPIT Abominations are going to be charging on the Skink Priest right now. We're definitely on the hunt, and now we can actually check to see if it has poison. I'll check, but man, look at that thing. That thing is pretty freaky looking. But well played to my opponent. It was a pretty fun battle. I think that's a very good build against the dinosaurs. Now, the dinos, the Pterodon Riders were very good, actually. They did quite a bit of damage against my guys. But I'm trying to think what would be very helpful here. I think some dedicated missile pressure on top of the HELLPIT Abominations would be pretty good, but I went very, very heavy in the anti-large fight. So Kroq-Gar was kind of outgunned a little bit. He had some support from some Cold One Sphere Riders who kind of got caught up fighting infantry for most of the game and Storm Vermin and things like that. We didn't really get a chance to see those guys in action, but Rockar is always a pretty good choice against Skaven. I mean, he can definitely cause some problems. But yeah, I'm trying to think what I would do differently. So Krokar, the Skink Priest with Lord Beast of Stegodon certainly did a ton of work against my Storm Vermin, but it really couldn't handle the 2 HELLPIT Abominations plus Skrulk and all the debuffs from the Assassin. It makes it really hard for the Dinos. I mean, they can go double Scarvet or like, a Slann with double Scarvet or Krokar plus Scarvet plus a Caster and go Fisticuffs. I mean, that would have been a lot harder for sure, having to fight 2 of those guys. But I think with the trophy heads and the support of the Lord Skrulk with his debuffs, as well as the Libra Bonicus, it's definitely very good. But yeah, Storm Vermin do very well in the front line. I mean, I did kind of lose them towards the end of the battle, but I was outnumbered, right? I was fighting up against like 6 infantry, and I only had like 4 in total, really. I mean, aside from the clan rats. But yeah, I think they did pretty well. It's a safe pick. You could go with like Halberds as well to give yourself even more dinosaur pressure, but the Halberds won't do as good against Saurus. I think Saurus Warriors might actually be able to beat Halberds, but yeah, it might require a little bit of testing. But yeah, I was pretty happy with Skrulk and the boys. I think one direction you can also go with this type of thing against a double HELLPIT Abomination is maybe getting a double Skink Chief, because Skink Chiefs just sitting on top of these HELLPITs will do quite a bit of damage over the course of a long battle. But yeah, I like this build. It's pretty simple. It's you keep it high and tight. You do some flank denials. You get the proper positioning. I feel like you're going to be in pretty good shape. And these guys actually got 2 chevrons as well. I did not have those chevrons before the battle, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I liked my opponent's build for sure. I just think it was slightly it didn't have quite enough to deal with my style of play in bringing, the double kaiju, right? Like, he didn't have enough stopping power to take down the HELLPIT Abominations. If I had just gone with like a purely infantry army, he would have had plenty of tools, right? These Pterodons would have been terrorizing my backline skirmishers and things like that. You had a Rev Crystal, you had a Stegodon, which is really good against Skaven infantry. So I just think it was lacking a little bit of stopping power to deal with the big HELLPIT Abominations. But yeah, anyways, very well played. My opponent energized. Look forward to running into you again on ladder. It was definitely quite a bit of fun getting some hot Skaven action. And we will see you guys next time. Take care.